What's up guys, today we'll be going over the Izanagi's Burden, Masterwork, and Catalyst, how to get it, how to upgrade it efficiently, then also we break down all the new numbers with the Masterwork to see how it changed and how good it is now. Izanagi's was always really good for burst damage, and we'll see if that's still the case, or if it's a little bit better for sustained damage now. So first, to get the actual Catalyst drop, you need your chalice to be completely upgraded and Masterwork. Then if you have that completely done, you will get it guaranteed on your first Heroic Menagerie completion of the week. Then as you see, to upgrade it, you have to kill 500 enemies, and that's pretty much it. You can do whatever you want, but there's one way to do it very quickly, and that is going to the Last Wish raid. And make sure you have 2 sniper reserves if possible, one on your helmet and one on your bond, and that will help you get 4 more ammo, which is pretty important and will make this a little bit more efficient. But you want to go to the second encounter of Last Wish. You can use this wish code on the screen right now to go straight to it. And once you're here, there's going to be a 25-ish thrall that spawn in right here. You can rally the flag, get 24 ammo, and pretty much kill all of them. And use something like Luna or Rally Barricade. And if you're on Hunter, you can actually use Tether and kill all of them with one shot. And it actually counts as all the kills, so that's the most efficient way of doing it on Hunter. But if you're on Warlock or Titan, just drop down like a Rally Barricade, Lunafaction Will or something, and just try no-scope them or do whatever. And this only took me like 30 minutes. On Hunter, it would probably take like 20 minutes, so it's definitely pretty quick. Now let's talk about the damage of this weapon. First, without any of the perks, it hits 3657. Now with Honed Edge times 4 before the Masterwork, it hit 18,238. Now with the Masterwork applied, which will increase the Honed Edge times 4 damage to 21,885. So much damage that you can 2-shot the Ogre. So before, Honed Edge times 4 was a 5x increase to your normal shot. Now with the Masterwork, it's a 6x, so 1 entire bullet worth more damage per Honed Edge times 4. Before we break down a lot of the numbers, I want to show off the ammo reserves with this weapon. Without any reserves, you hold 20, which is good enough for 5 Honed Edge times 4. Now with 2 sniper reserves right here, as you see on helmet and bond, you can now hold 24, which is a full entire another Honed Edge times 4 bullet, which is very important with this weapon. So you pretty much have to use double reserves to get up to 6 times 4 Honed Edge shots. Then if you shoot off a shot and then pick up ammo, you can get 3 more for an extra times 3 bullet at the end. So if you only shoot 1 shot with this weapon, you do the full 21,885 damage instantly, which is like crazy burst damage. And the rest of these clips will be using sniper rifle, loader, and scavenger, because that is pretty much the entire DPS of this weapon, so you may as well take advantage of that. So shooting off 2 shots, that takes 2.833 seconds, meaning DPS over 2 shots is going to be 15,450, which is pretty good. But now let's test 3. Shooting off 3 Honed Edge times 4 shots, that's going to take 5.433 seconds, which means the DPS over 3 shots is 12,084. So as you see, the more you shoot, the DPS lowers very quickly. Now shoot off all 6 entire reserves with double reserves, see how long that takes, and it takes forever. But the point of this test right here is to show off the burst damage of this weapon, and the more you shoot, how it affects the DPS. So now recapping 2, 3, and 6 shots, by the time you get to 6 shots, you're only doing 9,910 damage per second. So this weapon definitely favors burst damage still. And like we mentioned, it can hold 24, which is 6 Honed Edge times shots. So if you shot off all of that, you do 131,310 total damage, which is quite a bit of damage. And there's ways to help the DPS of this weapon. First being Pulse Wave on Stormcaller, where being critically wounded triggers an energy wave that boosts yours and your ally's speed. So as you see, if I go red bar health, I get Pulse Wave, which allows me to reload very quickly, which will obviously affect the damage per second of this weapon. And you can also do this on Titan with Tempered Metal. Solar ability kills grant you and your allies movement speed and reload speed. So as you see, getting grenade kills or hammer kills or whatever, you pretty much get max reload speed just like Pulse Wave on this weapon. And on Hunter, you can also use Chain of Woe, which also affects you and your allies nearby. But now this time you have to get precision kills with a weapon up to times 3. So go ahead and proc that, and once again, you get that pretty much max reload speed on the weapon. I would say this one's a little bit slower than Pulse Wave and Tempered Metal, but just slightly. So retesting the 2 shots, 3 shots, and 6 shots DPS with Pulse Wave now, 2 shots takes 2.15 seconds, meaning the DPS over 2 shots with Pulse Wave is 20,358, which is absurd, definitely the highest burst damage in the game. Now testing 3 shots with Pulse Wave once again, that takes 4.2 seconds, and that drops it down to 15.7 thousand. So still pretty good, but obviously lowering. And once again, shooting off all 6 shots now with Pulse Wave. And the main reason I'm doing these tests with Pulse Wave over Temperamental or Chain of Woe is Pulse Wave you can proc anytime in most boss fights, so it's definitely the most usable of the 3 increases. And that took 9.867 seconds. So recapping the DPS of 2, 3, and 6 shots with Pulse Wave, as you see it starts at 20,000 and dips down to 13,000, which is pretty good. Definitely a lot more respectable over the total reserves than it was before. And it's important to note that this is a special weapon, so compared to other special weapons in the game, 9,000 without Pulse Wave or 13,000 with Pulse Wave over the entire reserves is extremely good. Most special weapons are in like the 5,000 to 7,000 range, but still it's mainly a burst weapon, and it does that extremely well. The burst damage on this weapon is right up there with Wendigo, if not even higher if you can proc Pulse Wave or Temperamental or something like that. And most of the things in the game will die to 2, maybe 3 shots total from this weapon. All strike bosses, a lot of the ultras in strikes or in the raids. For example, in the new raid, all of the ogres and whatnot, this will easily one-shot them. So you're going to be doing that crazy 21,000 burst damage instantly. And there's a lot of ogres in that raid, so I can see this being actually very useful. Because you could pair this with Wendigo or Swarm of the Raven, and you could still have that really good sustained boss damage in your power slot, but then have really high burst damage in your special slot. So that combo would actually work really well in the new raid. So overall, this masterwork didn't change too much about the weapon. Obviously, it's 20% more damage, so it's definitely a really good masterwork and pretty much necessary if you want to use this weapon. But it's not going to greatly change the meta in any way, in my opinion. It was already pretty much the king of burst damage, and that didn't really change too much. It just separated itself from the pack a little bit more. So in all the scenarios it was useful before, it's still going to be just as useful in those situations now. But I'm definitely interested to use this in the new raid because I think it'll work perfectly with, you know, Swarm of the Raven or whatever in your power slot. So is it worth getting? Well, I would have to say yes, because it's an extremely strong weapon, and any masterwork that adds damage to a weapon is pretty much mandatory for that weapon if you want to use it. But there's a lot of work you have to do to be able to get this. If you haven't started, you have to complete your chalice, then you have to do a heroic menagerie, which isn't the easiest thing in the world, but overall I'd say it's definitely worth the grind to get it. It's a super fun gun, really good in certain situations. Then if you could also proc things like Pulse Wave or Temperamental, the gun is actually one of the better guns in the entire game in terms of DPS and total damage output. And not to mention, all that crazy DPS is from a special weapon, not even a power weapon, so the ammo supply is very abundant, so you'll have way more uptime on this weapon than most power weapons. Anyways, I think that's all I wanted to say about this new masterwork. There's a lot of numbers I broke down in this video, pretty much just showing off that its burst damage potential is extremely high, then as you shoot more shots it drops off. So if you guys have any questions about that, please ask them below and I'll try to reply to them. Anyways, thanks for watching, catch you guys next time.